Patreon supporters, and thank you for all of your support for all this years.
I like it. Carry on.
You get to see all the fumbles. In fact, we're going to send you an exclusive outtake video from this podcast recording, which went rather disastrously earlier.
At the beginning.
At the beginning.
It would have been all right if you didn't decide to eat a donut.
It would have been fine if I hadn't eaten the donut.
I've eaten 3 donuts in the last hour.
Oh, wow.
It's not good, is it?
No,
This
it's
is
good.
because they're on this plate. They're on this plate here.
Oh, look at
And
those.
Do you want another one?
No, well, I mean, yeah, I do, but not whilst we're filming.
Okay. Fine.
What happened last time? All right. Well, as always, this is the Patreon exclusive extension to our podcast, and Alex has a news story which Martin and I are unprepared for. But what is it, Alex?
So yeah, I kind of wanted to touch on the events that happened this week. Obviously, the biggest news story has been the horrific terrorist attack in New Zealand that's taken place, and I think enough has been said about that in the news. So I didn't really want.
Yeah, that
obviously
debate will rage on for a while. I think.
Obviously, yeah, it's a horrific thing. You know our opinions on it. But what I wanted to talk about is one Australian senator's comments that he's made regarding this terrorist attack, and also an unsung hero who's emerged in this whole horrific story.
Okay. Yeah.
And I want to talk today about Egg Boy.
Okay.
Who's making the rounds on Twitter. And basically, so there's this senator, Australian senator called Fraser Anning, who basically, in the wake of this attack, made several comments basically blaming the victims of the attack and saying, and he made the point that he tweeted, first of all, does anyone still dispute the link between Muslim immigration and violence? And he said,
a prick.
And he said, the real cause of the bloodshed on New Zealand streets today is the immigration problem which allowed Muslim fanatics to migrate to New Zealand in the first place, which is insane. It's insane.
Even if you believe that, which some people do, that mixing of cultures wrongly causes violence, even if you believe that, you know that the timing is only going to flare up hatred.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
It's
provoking.
a silly thing to say, yeah.
So stupid.
But that's the thing. I think we wouldn't have heard of him if he hadn't made these comments. So
Sure.
there's some kind of, he's probably doing it for
Yeah.
attention.
Yeah.
But even still, this has prompted loads of petitions, and there's a change petition which has amassed more than 1 million signatures to have him removed from the Australian Senate within the law boundaries of the law.
Pressure, isn't it?
Yeah, and he's also. They also point out this is kind of dragged up his opening statement that he made to Parliament, I think, when he was first elected, and he made comments on the final solution relating to. Which was a direct reference to genocide during World War II.
I think I remember that, actually.
Yeah,
hit
that
the
was
news,
him.
Yeah. Wow. Same guy.
So he seems like a bit of a dickhead, really.
Is he representing one of the main parties?
Yeah.
He's an independent senator, and apparently he's. I'm not sure how Australian politics works.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'm not going to pretend that I do, but I think he was from a constituency. He basically only had received a few votes in order to get into the Senate somehow. I don't think he represents a huge,
people.
many people.
Okay.
Because it's even worse if he's excuse me. It's even worse if he's independent, because you've no excuse for having party loyalty.
Yeah,
it's just
exactly
like that guy who's overtly racist.
Yes.
But anyway, he was at a press conference the other day, and there was a teenage boy called Will Connolly, who's 17 years old, cracked an egg over his head during the press conference, and it caused him. He turned around and punched him twice in the face, and then some of his supporters who were there pinned this teenager down on the floor.
Wow.
And so the boy was charged by police eventually, but then released. He was initially arrested but released.
Yeah.
And I don't think anything's going to happen with him.
I have to say, this bloke's punch was nothing on John Prescott's. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
when he was eight.
He was 8
Yeah.
and
Properly
flies
decked
into
him.
the crowd,
Yeah.
fists flying. But yeah, this guy deserved it. Probably a lot more than John Prescott did. Debatable, but
Yeah.
no, definitely.
Yeah, Prescott was all right, actually.
Yeah. So who was this bloke?
So he was 17-year-old called Will Connolly, and yeah, so since then there was a GoFundMe page that was set up in order to pay for any legal fees that this boy had, and they were hoping to raise $2,000. I think as of recording, they've raised over $45,000. But this kid has said that he's going to donate most of it to the victims of the attack, the families of the victims.
You know,
most of it, not all of it.
Because there's a lot of these GoFundMe pages, and it's like they set up for one reason, then it absolutely smashes the target. And it's like, what do they do with the money after that?
Yeah,
that's true.
I think that's part of it. Irks me a little bit when there's GoFundMe for everything.
Yeah,
and
you
find that like some of it, a few months later, was actually not even like legitimate, and that's not to undermine good causes. And it's always nice to see that people want to help someone out. But does he need a GoFundMe page?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think
he. So he's donating it. Yeah,
I think it was just a way for people to express their support. But you're right. It's kind of unnecessary. But I think it's good that he's donating it to the victims of this attack instead, because he clearly realizes that. But I think the best thing that's come out of all this is just all the memes on Twitter from Egg Boy. It's just great. Go and search for it.
I have not seen any of these. Looking forward to looking up that later.
Yeah.
We'll see if we can add some links on the Patreon feed, maybe, to a few of the Egg Boy ones. I'm sure there's a compilation that we can add a YouTube link through.
Probably,
definitely. Yeah.
That'd be cool.
But yeah, that was pretty much the story. I kind of wanted to, in the wake of this horrific attack, talk about a slightly, lighter piece of news regarding it. And
every cloud has a silver lining.
Exactly. There we go. Yeah. But yeah, and he's also said that he's also encouraged his supporters not to egg politicians, because he says you get tackled by 30 bogans at the same time.
That's so Australian. 30 bogans.
And also, I heard a rumour, I don't know if this is true, but I heard a rumour that when the police came to arrest him initially, he said, "Oh, here comes the bacon for the egg." How great is that? That's a line.
That's so good. That is good.
But yeah.
So good.
There's the video of Arnie being egged, isn't there? Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
When he's out and about.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen it, he gets egged. It like bounces off his shoulder and like hits this boy in the background in the mouth. So his mouth. He's like, and you see him like squirming.
Yeah.
And then like he carries on walking. Doesn't even like flinch. Just carries on walking with his egg on his shoulder.
Yeah.
And, like his security like rub it off or whatever.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, someone's reporting and asking him about what happened, and he's like, "That man, he owes me bacon. You can't have bacon without egg." Like a similar kind of thing. Like, need bacon for the eggs.
Good on you.
Like,
why did they egg Arnie? Like, was it when he was governor, or was it recently?
I think it was when he was governor.
Right. Okay.
Obviously, someone wasn't a fan.
Yeah.
Terminator 3, watched it, didn't like it.
And I think his response to that was free speech. Him getting an egg thrown on him, which I think probably crosses online, to be honest.
Yeah, it's interesting because we've all wanted to throw things at politicians in the past, haven't we? I'm sure there's a politician for all of us that we'd love to throw something at, but there's got to be a line where you've gone too far, and is egg throwing the line?
I think so. I think also with the security issue as well. Like a kid could have had a knife if he'd been a nutter.
That's true.
Yeah, could have had a throwing star.
Yeah, the egg could have been something else.
Exactly.
It could have
acid. Yeah. I mean, it's not really on, is it, to throw things at people regardless of what they say? It doesn't help. Has that actually helped anything other than create memes for us?
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe create a precedent for people chucking things at politicians.
Like that politician, I imagine, won't change his views because someone threw an egg at him.
No,
in fact, he's probably gonna.
Yeah. These are sympathizers with the with any opponents of mine.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree. I don't think it adds to the conversation at all.
Yeah.
But actually, I will say people who want him to see him like be kicked out of office, essentially. This could have helped their case because of his reaction to the egg throwing.
Trying to punch a kid.
Because there's now added pressure. Not only the Prime Minister of Australia, Scott Morrison, I think his name is Scott Morris. I really should learn his name. It changes so often over there.
That's the thing. Yeah,
they've had so many in the past 2 years. Yeah.
But he's come out and said that the full weight of the law he should have to be charged for punching the kid in the face.
That guy,
How old is he?
17 years old.
Okay, because he looks younger.
Yeah.
He looks like he's about 15 and punching a 15-year-old boy in the face.
Well, yeah, like, I mean, he turned around and there was that he obviously paused
Yeah.
and then punched the kid in the face. It wasn't like an initial turn and swipe. He punched him in the face, then punched him in the face again.
Yeah, and that's excessive force. Like the first punch, if it was instantaneous, you could be like, okay, that's assault, but we'll forgive you.
He thinks he's got something on him, yeah.
Do two wrongs make a right, though? Should the egg throwing have ever happened in the first place, even if the reaction was worse than the egg throwing?
Yeah, it's a good point. I think there's a line with engaging political discourse, and yes, I think throwing an egg does cross a line.
Yeah.
Like no good conversation can come from that. You're not adding anything to it.
Yeah.
However, I would say that the senator's comments themselves also cross a line past the point where I think he should be out of office. He's almost encouraging like division and hate speech at this point. So I think I don't think he kind of deserves the like proper political discourse at that point. I'd say, because I think he's gone too far himself.
I think in regards to throwing the punch, I think with the comments he made, although I completely disagree with what he's saying, I do think that the timing of them was the thing that was. I completely disagree with what he says, but there are other people that are going to say pretty much the same thing as him across various political parties in every country, and people will go, okay, I think you're being an idiot, but that is your opinion. You can say that in a liberal democracy.
Yeah. As long as you are willing to accept the counter argument.
Exactly. So I don't necessarily think that what he said was, what's the word? What he said was unlawful.
Okay.
But what I would say is the timing of it was so insensitive that he's going to expect a reaction. He's got to expect a reaction of that. Of some kind of magnitude.
And clearly he's not willing to take any kind of criticism because his reaction to being egged was to punch a guy twice in the face.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one though. I'm not sure if I think they kind of crosses the boundary into encouraging hate, but he says like I think from the comments that he's made, he seems a bit like a Nazi, to be honest. He's talked about the final solution.
Of
of
course,
and
that's pretty horrific.
He's lied essentially. These comments aren't just his opinion; they're factually inaccurate. He said that this has allowed Muslim fanatics to migrate to New Zealand. There has never been a terrorist attack by Muslims in New Zealand.
No.
This is the largest terrorist attack that's happened in New Zealand, and it's been from a right-wing.
Yeah, Muslims are the victims.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not just his opinion; it's factually inaccurate.
He's victim blaming. He's saying if the Muslims weren't here, they wouldn't have got attacked, which is stupid.
Yes.
Yeah. So at its best, in my opinion, if it's not hate speech, it's like woeful ignorance, and someone like that shouldn't be in public office because they're being deliberately ignoring the facts.
Any other repercussions of this young lad?
Nah, he's done his time.
He's done his time. He got punched in the face twice. I think that's a fair response.
True. That's true.
Interesting that he's now encouraging people not to throw eggs.
Don't do it.
Do you think he's learned his lesson? Learned his lesson. Yes.
I don't think he's going to do it again, is he? He'd be trying to replicate former glories.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, yoke's on him.
Hey, very good.
Nice.
Very good. That's staying in.
Well, please let us know what you guys think in the comments below on the Patreon feed or on the YouTube video. And thank you again for all of your support. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
See y'all.